So how do I sell my land in Georgia? Hey guys, this is Brad from North Georgia Land Buyers and Arborview Properties. Today, I'm starting a series of videos here for our North Georgia Land Buyers website. And the number one question is, how do I sell my land? Maybe you got land you bought a long time ago. Maybe you inherited some land, whatever, and you're interested in selling it. How do you sell it? Well, you could do it yourself, right? You could hire a real estate agent, or you could sell it to an investor or a developer, right? Those are kind of your options, right? So doing it yourself, put a for sale sign out there, advertise it out on the, Facebook Marketplace and some of the other websites. There's some also some land buying and selling Facebook groups out there. Also, depending on if your land is like hunting land, there's actually websites and markets that specialize in hunting land. So if you do have some land that would work good for that, you could advertise it out on those sites. Now, if you do that and you're not a hunter, you probably want to maybe talk to a hunter and have them do a little bit of a an analysis of your property to figure out, what's there. What, people that are wanting to hunt obviously want wildlife to hunt. So you need to know what's on your land. So, you can do that, sell it that way, right? You can stick a sign out in front, post it out on the internet, that sort of thing. Put some for sale signs and local advertisements, that sort of thing. You can do that yourself. When you sell it yourself, obviously you're going to have to do all the work. You're going to have to talk to the potential buyers. You're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to make sure that you find a title company or a closing attorney to work with. If you're in the state of Georgia, which, most of the people watching this are in the state of Georgia, we're a closing attorney state. So you're going to need to find a closing attorney that can handle the closing for the sale. The buyer may have their own closing attorney, but what I found a lot of times with DIY sales is that the buyers don't really have a closing attorney either. And then you're going to want to make sure that you've got a purchase and sale agreement for that land. Any contract in the state of Georgia, any valid real estate contract has to have a valuable consideration exchanged, whether that be $1 or something of value. Hey, I'm trading you this, bucket of Legos for your land, or maybe it's money. Whatever it is, it needs to be valuable consideration, and it needs to be specified in the contract what that valuable consideration is and what is being exchanged. What is being exchanged is the land. And you need to have a legal description of the land. The address of the property or the tax parcel number is not a valid legal description. You're going to find the legal description on your deed, which will say, starting at point whatever, ending in this point. It's basically the long paragraph that the surveyor writes out. That's the legal description of the property. That's what you're selling. If you don't have an up-to-date survey, I would highly recommend that you get a survey when you're selling land, because obviously you need to know where the boundaries are. You need to know where encroachments are. You need to know, a huge thing is easements. Are there easements? There's different types of easements. I'm not going to get into that in this video. All of those are usually put on the survey. So you need to make sure that you have a relatively current survey done. And that can cost some money depending on the size of your property. It could be, $1,000 or more nowadays for a boundary survey. $1,000 would be for a sort of a smaller piece of land just for a boundary survey. So it could cost you way more than that, depending on the size of the land. So make sure you have that. A bonus, you don't have to do this, but getting soil tests done on the property. Some people call them perk tests. Now, a perk test is just measuring the percolation rate for a septic system. It's actually better to have a full soil test done because they're also going to examine the suitability of the soils for building on building structures and that sort of thing. So make sure you have that. Make sure that you understand the topography of the land. A lot of times you can get topo maps available online. Many potential buyers are going to be looking at the topography of the land. For instance, I remember years ago, I had a guy reach out to me, wanted to sell me this lot up in North Georgia on a river. And no joke, I mean, it was like legit that steep. I mean, it was almost straight up and down. And on the river, right? Gorgeous lot. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, first of all, how am I supposed to build any structure on this without massive, massive engineering and foundation? And then B, where am I going to put a septic system for this house? Because there's no public sewer in this neighborhood, right? This was up in North Georgia on a river. There's nothing I can do with this land. It's like almost straight up and down. I can't go here. I can't camp on it because I would be sitting on the side of a mountain, right? I guess if you had one of those little hanging tents that like mountain climbers use, maybe you could do that. But he had bought this just basically worthless piece of land. Gorgeous thing to sit there and look at, but he's paying property taxes on it every year. He was trying to sell it to me for $5,000, and I'm like, you'd have to give me $5,000 to buy this property. I mean, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's beautiful. But I mean, I can go, if I want to go sit on a river or whatever, I'll go rent a cabin for a weekend and go sit on a cabin, in a cabin on the river. I'm not going to just go post up out here and sit on the edge of the road and look down at, the river below. It's of no value, right? So make sure that you understand the topography of the land. So that's kind of doing it yourself. Those are some of the things that you need in order to do that. Now, let's talk about selling through a real estate agent or a broker. Obviously, that's kind of the traditional way that everyone thinks of. I'm actually a licensed real estate agent in the state of Georgia with one source out of Woodstock, Georgia. I'm actually working on getting my broker's license. But you can go that way. You can sell through an agent, and an agent will list it out on the various MLS systems. Depending on if it's a commercial property or potential commercial, they might list it out on like CoStar or LoopNet, which are the sort of commercial property marketplaces online. And obviously they'll put a sign out and they'll advertise it out for sale, right? So that's the traditional route. They're going to handle all the contracts for you, the negotiations, that sort of thing, getting it to closing. Obviously you're going to pay them a commission to sell the property. While there is no standard commission in Georgia, but on land, it can be anywhere from 5 to 10%. I mean, really, commission is totally 100% negotiable between the parties. There is no set amount, but traditionally those are kind of the percentages typically that one might charge. So that's if you're going with an agent. Or you can sell the property to an investor or a developer like myself. So I'm an agent and I'm an investor and a developer. So I buy single family properties, commercial properties, I buy land, all of the above. I've done some development deals in the past. So do those, where we buy land, we'll divide it up into pieces and we'll build new construction houses on it and kind of do that sort of thing. Or maybe keep a piece of land for myself. In fact, where I live personally, I did that. I bought a bigger parcel of land and I divided it up, and then me and a business partner of mine, who's a home builder, he built some houses on the land, and then we sold some lots off, and then I kept, there was even an old house on the land, and we renovated. The house had been vacant for like 10 years. We totally gut renovated that house and resold that house as basically almost like a brand new house. And then I kept a piece of land for myself, and I built my personal home on one of those lots. So I've got a lot of experience in that over the years, and I've sold lots and land and all that stuff over the years, been involved in that. So that's that route, selling to a developer or an investor. And some people will say, well, I'm not going to sell to an investor because they're going to lowball me. Well, guess what, guys? The long and short of it is that investors and developers they do deals to make money. And if they make you an offer on your land, they're doing it because they're trying to make a profit, right? And these things take time and they cost money. In our experience, depending on the county or the municipality that we're working with, if we're buying a parcel of land or we're kind of trying to get it divided up, if we don't have to get it rezoned, we're still looking at anywhere from 6 to 12 months before we can divide that land up and actually be able to sell those smaller parcels. And that is not having to go through, not getting it rezoned. If we have to go through and get that land rezoned, that adds way more time to the process. Sometimes it can take upwards of 2 to 3 years, depending on the municipality and county that you're working in. to get that land, what they call entitled, in order to be able to divide it up and resell it and do anything with it. Otherwise, we're sitting in that. We have carry costs with our bank loans, or if we're paying cash, that's our opportunity cost of our cash. If we've got $1 million in cash tied up in a land deal, that's $1 million that we can't spend on something else that might pay us money back sooner. So there is an opportunity cost of that cash, right? So we have costs to deal with that. We have to pay property taxes. We have to pay for the surveyors and the soil test and the civil engineers to do all of this work. There's a lot of legwork behind the scenes that takes a lot of investment. And sometimes we may buy a parcel of land and we may think we're going to be able to get 15 or 20, lots out of this property, and we only end up able to get like 10. For example, there's a property behind me personally, behind my personal house. I'd made an offer to the seller who was selling the property, and he declined our offer because he got a better offer from another developer. Well, that developer came in with high hopes of being able to divide this property. It was 18 acres, and he originally pitched the county on like 17 lots, and they told him no. He went back to the drawing board, had to pay the engineering company to redo the whole thing, went back and proposed 12 lots, and was then declined by the bank, or not by the bank, by the county on the 12 lots, and then went back to them again. And finally, he was able to get approved to divide this 18 acres up into 8 lots. And at that point, he had owned this property for 2 years and spent a lot of money doing all of this entitlement work. And he basically ended up selling the property off to another builder developer. They just bought it and they're finally building this development. But he really didn't make any money on the deal because he paid so much for it. He paid much more than we had offered the seller to begin with. Good for the seller, right? They made a few $100,000 more out of this large parcel of land than they would have made if we bought it. But this poor guy bought it, and it didn't work out like he thought. And between his interest carry costs and all the money he spent on all the development work, I think he maybe broke even or maybe lost a little bit of money after 2 years. There's nothing to show for it, right? So sometimes that happens. There's risk involved. So if you get an offer from us as a builder or developer, we're not there just to like jerk you around. Like we're gonna tell you, yeah, you can do this with the land, or you can't do this. Or sometimes people are like, oh, you can do all this with the land, and I look at them like, I mean, yeah, you can, but it's gonna cost you a fortune to do all of that, and there's no return on investment. So from our perspective, we have to have a return on our investment. If we're not getting a return on our investment, we're not doing the deal. We won't buy the land. So those are kind of your options. If you want to sell a piece of land, you can do it yourself. You can sell it through a real estate agent or a broker, or you can sell it directly to an investor or developer like us at North Georgia Land Buyers. So those are your options, and you need to kind of decide what you think is best for you. Check out some of our other videos on North Georgia Land Buyers and on our ArborView Properties YouTube channel, all about land, and maybe that might help answer some of your other questions. So if you have a property that you are looking at selling and you'd like to get an offer from us, or you'd like to talk to us about being the listing agent or listing broker on the property, we'd be happy to have that discussion with you. If you fill out the form on northgeorgialandbuyers.com, there's a form there on the site. Submit that to us. A member of our team will get that, and they will call you back right away and probably ask you a few more questions, gather some more information from you, and then we'll go from there. So thanks for watching this video. I hope it's helpful to you. Check out our other videos. Thanks again. Have a good day. Bye-bye.